Hi, Pink Legal Clients. This is Carl Knoll. We're going to be going over the mandatory financial disclosure process. When you get this email or when you watch the video, you're going to see this introduction, the first 2 pages. It talks about the financial disclosures, do you have to do it, and the steps. And I'm going to be going through the documents that you're required to complete. So this is the very first page, talks about the steps. Again, the documents that we're going to be going over, making copies, serving copies to the other party, and then filling out the proof of service that you did the disclosure process. The very first document is the Declaration of Disclosure. Note, you are going to have to fill in your name, street address, city, state, zip, phone number. You are self-represented, and then the court's information goes in here. If you're the petitioner, you'll put your name in here. If you're the respondent, you'll put your name in there on all the documents. And if you're the petitioner and you're completing this document, you'll want to check this box, the petitioner's declaration of disclosure, and go ahead and click preliminary and final. And there's a reason for that. There's typically a preliminary set of declaration of disclosures, but in most self-represented, uncontested matters, you kind of just do both of them at one time. You should have a case number to be able to enter there. And then you're going to check all these boxes. You're going to be doing a schedule of assets and debts. You're going to be doing an income and expense declaration. If you have tax returns, you're going to be providing them to the other party, statement of material facts, and these other statements down here. You put today's date or the date that you are filling out the forms, your name, and then your signature goes there at the bottom. This is just an attachment to this form that goes over these items right here. And you can just go ahead and use or check the applicable boxes that apply to your matter or do other. And that should be pretty straightforward. Again, date and your signature goes there. The next form is what is called the schedule of assets and debts. Again, you have to fill in the caption area at the top, the case number, and then you just kind of go down the line here. Real estate. If you have real estate, you put in the address or addresses of the real estate, timeshares, land. If this is separate property, you're going to go ahead and put a P or an R there for the petitioner or the respondent. Otherwise, it's just pretty much assumed community property. The date acquired, if you don't know the date that it was acquired, you can put unknown or guess at this point. Current market value, an amount owed, or the encumbrance of each one of the assets that we're going to be going through. Household furnishings, you can just put miscellaneous household furnishings, or you can list all of your items. Again, if it's separate property, you want to put a P or an R for petitioner or respondent, the date acquired, gross value, or kind of rough estimated value, and if you owe any money. Same thing with jewelry, art, coin collections, vehicles. And notice that it's asking you to attach things like title documents and attach last statements for savings accounts, checking accounts, stuff like that. You can attach them at this point and provide them to the other party. If you know that the other party already has them, you could maybe make some reference that they already have them, but technically you're supposed to provide these documents to the other party, whether they have them or not. But in uncontested matters, sometimes you can kind of be a little loosey-goosey with those requirements. If you have any cash, if you're getting a tax refund, life insurance with cash value, stocks, bonds, put certificate numbers, stuff like that, as much as you can. Retirement pension plans, again, separate property, P or an R if you feel that the retirement or the pension is separate property, if it was acquired before or after the marriage. Partnerships, business interests, and again, any other assets that wasn't mentioned in one of the categories above. You can total those down at the bottom and then jump on to the next section, debts. Student loans, generally those are separate property, but they can be community. Taxes, support arrearages, loans, unsecured, credit cards. If you have a lot of credit card debt, you can put that in here again if it's separate property or if it's community, amount, total owing, date incurred or estimated date, or put unknown. And then if you're attaching pages, how many pages, again, your today's date or the date that you're doing the documents, your name and your signature there. We're going on to the income and expense declaration. Again, you're going to fill out the caption information. This is regarding your employer, where you're employed. If you're self-employed, it's going to go on the next page, but your employer's address, phone number, your occupation or your job title, when you started or estimated, if you're unemployed, when your job ended, amount of hours per week, roughly, how you get paid, your age and education goes down here, tax information, if you're unsure, possibly check with your the other party or your tax professional, and then other parties' income. Sometimes people don't know, so you want to guess, and you'll just want to say, what was your guesstimate or estimate and how you arrived at that. Again, number of pages that you're attaching, and note back here that it says you need to attach the last 2 months of pay stubs, okay? The date, your name, your signature. This page can be a little bit daunting or confusing, but don't make it too difficult. Most of the time people have just their salary or overtime wages up here, and they don't really have some of this stuff down here. But if you do, if you're getting spousal support or partner support, if retirement fund payments, Social Security, disability, unemployment compensation, workers' compensation, that's pretty straightforward. So, just kind of go down and list your income. Investment income. Here's where I mentioned on the previous page, if you're self-employed, where you're going to put your self-employment information here, and note that it says that you should put your Schedule C or last federal tax return right here. Deductions. Sometimes people have mandatory deductions in their employment, and you want to put those there. And then here's assets. Cash, checking accounts, stuff like that. So if you have like $5,000 in your banking total, you'll put $5,000 there. Sometimes people will say, well, I have, I don't really, have a whole lot of money. I have 5,000 now, but then I make all my bills and I go down to zero or close to zero. So you'll just have to kind of use your discretion there. Stocks, bonds, assets you can easily sell will go here. Other property, note it says real and personal, estimate fair market value minus the debt you owe. So if you have a $500,000 value house and you owe $250,000, it's going to be $250,000 there, not $500,000. Same thing with personal property. You want to estimate that. That includes your cars, and make sure you don't include the amount that you owe or the debt. Here's where you put your kids' names or your significant other if you're in a new relationship, whether or not the other party contributes to your household expenses. This can be confusing. Estimated expenses, actual expenses, or proposed needs. Sometimes people, just say, look, I make nothing. I literally left the marriage and I need, X amount of dollars. That's proposed need. Sometimes people are like, look, these are my actual expenses to the penny, and this is what I'm going to be listing. And sometimes, most of the time, people are listing estimated expenses because you're just kind of giving a rough estimate on some of these things, because your grocery bill could change from month to month depending on whatever circumstances are in your life. So again, just kind of go through this and make sure that you fill all this out, and then you total. Here's some, if you have a rental unit, or you're making a monthly payment on a car or credit cards, you want to put paid to. For example, Ford Motor Credit Company, for my auto loan, amount $600 a month, the balance $23,000, date last paid, the date or the month and year that you last paid. If you had hired an attorney at any point, you had paid the attorney any money, you'll want to kind of list that here, and then date, sign, and type or write in your name there. Most of my clients have not hired attorneys, and my fees are not attorney fees, so it wouldn't go there. And then this is if you have children. If you don't have children, completely ignore this page, but number of children you have, and then the estimated time spent with you and the other party. And you can kind of give details there, whether you have health insurance available to you at work, and then listing the name of the insurance company, et cetera. Additional expenses for the children can kind of go in here. That's self-explanatory. If there's a hardship, you can list there. And then just other information you either want the other party or perhaps the court to know. Now we're going on to the what is called the declaration regarding service of declaration of disclosure and income and expense declaration. So those documents that we just went over, you have to let the court know that you actually prepared and sent those or gave those to the other party. So again, if you're the petitioner, you'll check that box. You're going to check both preliminary and final. You're going to say you, the petitioner, actually I am the petitioner, and then petitioner's current income and expense schedule of assets and debts was served on the other party by mail or by personal service, the date that occurred. This is for preliminary and final disclosure. So you're going to fill in one, item number 2 and 3. And then you can kind of go over this section if you want. Normally, you're just kind of mailing them or giving them to the other party. So we don't really go on to item number 4. Again, date, your name, signature. So that's pretty much it. I know I went pretty quick, but sometimes when I do these videos, people just say, why do you drag on or drone on? And I didn't in this instance. So there you go. If you have any questions, let me know. pinklegal.com. Carl Knoll.